Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you today. I'm very, very glad to see you today. We get to meet here every Friday of the week from 5:30 to 5:50 for 20 minutes. We'll get to learn from one another, to sharpen one another, for iron sharpens iron, as it says in Proverbs 27. And my name is Jonan Kandwanaho. I'm the team leader at Jonaki Holdings Limited. At Jonaki Holdings Limited, we offer credit. We give loans. So you don't have to get stuck. You are in need of money, we get to give you loans. We do bridge financing. So where the bank says, come after a week, or come after 2 weeks or 1 month, as we give you or we serve you in a matter of hours. So that's what we do. So I get to share with us every Friday of the week. And you can always check out these YouTube videos at Jonan Kandwanaho as my YouTube channel. But also you can check out our website, www.jonakiholdings.com, to get more information. Yes, so today we have an interesting topic. And I'll give a disclaimer before I open up today's topic. That you can get to watch all these videos, you can get to watch or attend all these live streams, but if you don't implement, then you will not realize the results. So the results can only be realized if you implement what it is that I get to share with you. Especially if you lend money. You can only progress if you get to implement the things that you actually learn. Because until you implement, you will not have learned. And if you don't learn before you know it, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you'll get out of business. Our business industry that we operate in is very volatile. It's a very, very volatile industry. So if you don't up your game, your business is at stake. Lots of your money is at stake. That's why you have to up your game and be humble and implement the things that I've endeavored to share in these videos. Some of them I share them at a practical point of view. I've encountered them practically. I have benefited from them. We have learned from them. I am actually telling you something that I'm doing. It's not hearsay. It is not vibe. It is real story. So you actually get to learn and implement. So today we have quite an interesting topic. Practical reasons for compliance as a money lender. Why you should comply as a money lender. Why you should be compliant as a money lender. Because we have laws and regulations. Irrespective of the country you're operating in, you must be having laws and regulations that regulate that industry you're operating in. There must be policies. There must be laws. There must be some statutory instruments that are guiding the industry you're operating in, the financial industry. So it takes sometimes a cost, it takes a bit of effort to comply to the laws and regulations. Because if I'm not registered, I'm operating informally. That means I'm not recognized by the law. That means I'm not compliant to the law. That means I'm operating illegally. I am informal. So if I'm a business and I'm not registered, I'm operating illegally. So irrespective of the country you're operating in, if you're not registered, if you're not formalized, if you're not recognized by the taxman in your country, then you're operating informally and illegally. And it is you that I'm speaking to right now. I want to show you the reasons as why you should actually be compliant. Compliant to the regulations, compliant to the laws of that country that you're operating in. If you're Ugandan, why should you comply to the laws that govern our jurisdiction? First, the money lending industry is majorly, actually the financial industry is majorly based or hinged on trust. If the clients do not trust you, they cannot transact with you. As a matter of fact, a client will move away from a person who is lending at 4% to a client or to a company that is lending at 10% per month. All because they trust the company that lends at 10% than they trust the company that lends at 4%. Because look at it this way. If you have a land title that is worth maybe 500 million, and you maybe need 50 million, you actually have to be sure that whom you're entrusting your title with can actually give you back your title in case you actually pay. So you have to be certain that you're not likely to, you're not going to likely lose your collateral. If there's any likelihood, if there's any likely bias that, the company that you're borrowing from might actually foreclose on your title, even when you're willing to pay, then you had better not to go to that company. And that's what happens. So how do you build the client's trust? By you being compliant. So until you're compliant, there are some clients that you're not going to serve. However much you pray, however much you fast, however much you speak in tongues, however much you turn around, however much you attend to your judges, and with respect to the method you use, and irrespective of the determination that you put in, irrespective of the marketing strategies that you put across, you'll spend money, and you'll not get business. Because you don't have clientele trust. Because you're not compliant. There's a bracket of clients you'll only serve after being compliant. So that's point number one. To win clients' trust, you need to be compliant. You could be serving mediocre clients just because you're not compliant. So if you want to step it up, if you still have a lot of money in your account that is lying idle, or even sometimes you've taken a loan and you don't have anyone to give the money, then the logic could be you being compliant. Then that's when you're going to start dispersing money. That's when you're going to start getting attracted. That's when you're going to start, being known as a lender in the industry you're operating in. So trust is very key. Then two, it will be very, very hard for you to recover some of the monies that you lend out. Because look, we lend out this money with the intention to recover the money. If you are lending money with the intention not to recover the money you're lending out, then I don't know what you're doing. You're just being generous. You're just being a good giver, isn't it? Because before you know it, you're going to get out of business. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're getting out of business. So you lend with the intention to recover the money. So if you're not compliant, the likelihood of you recovering your money that you've lent out, plus the profit, plus the interest, is very, very minimal. Because once you serve one client and he establishes a loophole in your paperwork, establishes a loophole in your documents, establishes a loophole that you actually don't have a license, they will take advantage of that. And trust me, you're going to end up going to court on almost every client because clients communicate. Clients communicate. So how many clients are going to take to the courts of the law? And if you're not compliant, the courts of law are not going to favor you. They are not going to favor you. So if you want to lend out money and you can ably recover the money, you need to be compliant. You need to be a formalized entity. Because before you know it, almost every client will be taking you to the courts of the law. Every client will be refusing to pay. We have a proverb here in Africa, in Uganda, that whoever you lend while you're seated, you actually collect the money from them when you're standing. So you can imagine if you're collecting the money when you're standing, especially if you're not a formalized institution, if you're not a formalized company, how hard will your standing be? How hard will your standing be? You will struggle a lot to recover that money. And if it is borrowed money, you'll actually lose your collateral that you committed to borrow that money, to get that money from a bank, or from any institution, or from a friend, or from a family. You'll struggle to pay it back because you'll not recover it from the clients. Not only will you fail to recover the principal, but also the interest thereof. So if you want to easily collect back your money, if you want to easily recover your money, plus the interest, you have to be compliant to the law. You have to be compliant to the law. And this also is a double-edged sword to the side of the clients as well. If you're a client and you want to borrow money, I advise you that you go to a person or to a company that is recognized by the law. Because if you do not, you're actually selling off that collateral at a forced sale value. Because as we are lending, if you're committing your collateral, we give you a particular percentage of your forced sale value of your collateral. If you have a car that is worth 100 million, that is the market value. Now, when you're valuing that item, there's what we call the forced sale value. You might realize that the forced sale value of the car that has a market value of 100 million is probably 80 million or 60 million. Now, for us, we give you 50% of the forced sale value, which is 30 million. So you can imagine if you're transacting with a company that is not recognized by the law, that has particular interest in your collateral as a car or a land title, you're most likely going to lose that title at the first sale value, at even less than the first sale value. Because if I gave you 50% of the first sale value, and the first sale value was 60 million, that means you're losing your collateral at 30 million Ugandan shillings. The collateral that is worth 100 million. What a loss. So you can imagine if you're transacting with an institution that is not formalized, that is not compliant to the law, then you're actually saying, look, Jonan, I am selling this collateral, or I am selling this car at 30 million. And yet, ideally on the market, it is worth 100 million. So you can imagine the loss that you can actually go through as a client. So it's a double tragedy. On the side of the client, I advise you that it's not necessarily me telling you that, I'm lending at a lower rate, 2% or 1% or 3%. But you have to make sure that I am compliant, that I am recognized by the law, that I am registered. Do you realize the law mandates you to actually ask if I am licensed or not? Because you need to be sure the person that you're transacting with. You need to be sure of the company you're transacting with. The law authorizes you for me to confirm with you that I'm actually formalized, that I'm actually registered, and I have an operating license. So it's a key information that you have to have as a client. You might be watching as a client, as a borrower. And it's no crime that you're borrowing money. You could be borrowing the money for a right cause. Probably you want to clear that consignment, you want to import that car that you've always wanted, and then you can afford to pay particular installments or certain amortization per month. Why not? Why not? Probably you want to scale up your business. So it's also fine. So it's a double end. It's a double end on the side of the lender and the borrower to make sure that you can easily pay and recover back your collateral. And to do that, you have to transact with a company that is formalized, that is compliant to the law. And also on the side of the lender, you have to make sure that you're lending to the clients with the hope of recovery of not only the principal but also the interest. And that's when you're going to keep out of business, because you have bills to cover, you have staff to pay, you even have yourself to pay, and you also have a business to run. So you had better lend out money with the intention to recover the money, the principal, plus the interest. So that's one other key point. The other third point is that there are some service providers, you're not going to access their services until you're formalized, until you're compliant to the law. You see, when we're assessing clients, you have to make sure, you have to be sure that the client is not a multiple borrower. We've seen clients who borrow from Jonaki, and they go borrow from commercial banks, they go borrow from other lenders, and before you know it, the client is highly indebted to the extent that you can actually neither pay the lender, nor can he pay the commercial bank. You find the guy is indebted to like 5 financial institutions. How on earth do you plan to pay that money? How do you plan to pay that money? You definitely will not pay that money because you're highly indebted. Because your outflow, your expenses are higher than your income. So us as lenders, there's a method that you can actually go through to verify that someone is not highly indebted, so that you don't enter into the mix with other lenders that have not done their homework. And you do that by running a CRB, Credit Reference Bureau report. And you see, you cannot have an MOU with the CRB company if you're not formalized, if you don't have a money lending license, if you don't have a certificate of incorporation and registration, if you're not recognized by the taxman. These are some of the things that these guys ask for. So you can imagine you cannot run a CRB report on a client. What does that tell you? That you're most likely going to lend money to a person who is highly indebted. And you know what you stand? You stand a likelihood of losing that money because the guy is going to default. Because you do not know whether it's a good client or not. Because you do not know that this client is highly indebted or not. You're most likely going to lose that money. And all in the name of not formalizing. All in the name of not being compliant. And sometimes the cost that you incur by not being compliant is actually higher than the cost would have incurred had we become compliant. Because look, if you're losing 50 million or 100 million on a wrong client, because you're running away from, paying probably 1 million as tax, or probably 600,000 to register, or even 500,000 to get a money lending license, how is that comparable? So you have a lot at stake. You have a lot at stake. So to some of the service providers, you actually have to do what? You have to first comply. You have to first comply with the law. You have to have these instruments, these documents to confirm that you're compliant to the law before they can actually give you their services. So it's not about you being able to pay them. It's about you being compliant. So if you want to access some of the services, like of the Credit Reference Bureau, if you want to get educated by the taxman, if you want to get recognized, if you want to get good businesses, there are some businesses that you not get. There are some guys that you not lend to until you can actually, until you have a tax clearance certificate. So how will you proceed? Are you going to keep at that level? Are you going to keep stagnant? And you won't even keep, look, you're either growing or you're dying. You're either growing or, there's no constancy in this business. And not in this business alone, but in all businesses. Even in life, at a personal level. You're either growing or you're decelerating, or you're dying. So how about you opt for growth? How about you opt for, for going up? Because there is no constancy. That's a joke. You're actually dying. If you think you're being constant, you're dying. Unknowingly. Unknowingly. So it's important that you actually facilitate your growth by being compliant. Not only to the taxman, but also to other regulatory instruments. Because URSB has recognized you. It has recognized you as a Ugandan company. You have to be registered. UMRA, as a regulator of the financial industry, the money lenders, it has to recognize you. URA has to recognize you. So you actually have to be recognized. Some of the guys do not even market because they want to be seen, because they are non-compliant. Where are you going to stop with that? You can't play hide and seek for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What are you doing? What are you still doing? So the last one, since our time is not on our side, the last one is business continuity and growth. I shot a full video. You can look it up on my YouTube channel, Jonan Kandwanaho, on business continuity and growth. If you want to grow, if you want to ensure business continuity, if you want your company to go beyond you, you actually have to be compliant. You have no option. You have to be compliant to the taxman. You have to be compliant to the registration bureau. You have to be compliant to the regulatory authority, to our regulator. So if you do not want to grow, if you want the business to end with you, then keep in that non-compliance mode. But if you want your business to grow, and if you want a continuity of your business, you actually have to leave that non-compliance mode and go to compliance mode. I must tell you that it's a cost, because there are costs involved. But the benefits are way higher. They way outweigh the negative or the costs involved in being compliant. So I summarize my today's talk by telling you it is important that you formalize your business for 4 reasons, among others, because they are quite a number. But in the interest of time, we can only have 4 reasons. The first one, ease of recovery. Second one is this business runs on trust. So clients have to trust you. There are some clients you will not serve until you are trusted. 3 is that there are some service providers that are like, CRB companies that will not give you CRB reports until you're compliant. 5, if you want to ensure business continuity and growth, you actually have to be compliant. So with that, I want to appreciate you for your time. I'm starting a mastermind because it's important that someone holds your hand. See, there are mistakes that you're making that someone has made a long time ago, that someone went through a long time ago. So why do you have to repeat some of the mistakes? Some of which are even very, very costly. You don't have to repeat them. It's just you attaching to a person who has actually met them, has hit on them, and probably has spent or has incurred a cost on them, and then they can actually get to hold your hand. So I'm launching a mastermind. I've been running masterminds. It's not the first one, but this is like a second cohort or third cohort for this year, and it's starting on 2nd June 2023. It's online, so irrespective of your jurisdiction, we get to go through these processes one by one. We meet for 1.5 hours as the contact time per week, and we run 5 sessions, right away from loan application to loan assessment to loan approval to loan collection to after sales services, and how you can actually thrive in this industry. So I encourage you to sign up for this mastermind. It is paid for, it is affordable versus the cost you'll have incurred with bad clients. So look it up, ask for a link. If you need a link, you type on the YouTube channel or this Facebook channel that you want to join, and then someone will contact you, and then we'll get you enrolled. Trust me, you won't regret, and you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot. I encourage you to sign up for this mastermind. I love you all. God richly bless you. Thank you for your time. But above all, go out there and implement. The company is not for you alone. It's for your employers. It's for the people you're serving. It's for the public. It's not about you. It's about a number of other people. So you're getting out of business will not cost you alone, but it will cost a number of all other guys that you're employing and that you're serving. There's a particular niche that only you can serve. So you had better not get out of business. Really. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the works of your hands. Go out there and shalak. Go out there and succeed. Go out there and grow and progress. I wish you the very, very best. Let's go out there and serve the community and the country and the world at large. Blessings. Have a blessed Friday and enjoy the rest of the weekend. See you next Friday, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Same channel. Look out for this video on YouTube. Subscribe. It's free of charge. Click on that bell to get notification when the next video is shot. But also check us out on our website, www.jonakiholdings.com. Thank you. Have a blessed evening. Elegant, you can check out on my YouTube channel. Even though you're late, you can still catch it up and watch a full video, or even on our website. Thank you.